Okay, Casper is jumping all over the table here, so I think he wants to say hello. And there he is. And hopefully he doesn't jump on my table and cancel out another take on this video, which has already happened. I remember 2-3 years back, I did something very, very risky. Something very, very dangerous. Perilous these days. Something you ought to think 2, 3, 4 times about before doing. I am, of course, referring to posting something on social media. Which is, you know, you can't do it anymore. People are too angry and tied up inside and all that, projecting and all that stuff. But anyway, the quote was, I don't remember it verbatim, but it was a Carl Jung quote, I believe, that said basically, if pain isn't involved, we're not really going to learn very well. And what he was saying is that pain is a great teacher. And of course, I had a friend vehemently attack the post as being absolutely untrue and false and all that. And I just said, wow, that's amazing based on how much you've shared with me about your pain. Decades of incredible pain that person has gone through. And it has shaped her and molded her and evolved her through layers and layers and layers of awakening. Yet she was very, very against that premise that pain is a great teacher. Well, okay, but pain is a great teacher. No matter how we feel emotionally about it. We have to watch out for that subjective emotionalism. There is a video called that I posted some time ago. I recommend. Subjective emotionalism is basically a response, the essence of which is, I don't like the way that statement or that fact or that truth makes me feel emotionally, and so therefore I violently reject it and oppose it and label the messenger as evil, usually a Nazi. So anyway, all that aside, pain is a great teacher. Are we a great student of pain's teaching? That's the question. Pain is a great teacher because pain gets our attention. It's very good at getting our attention, isn't it? You are not aware of any part of your body until one part of it is suddenly in pain. You knock your toe against the table leg, or you smash your finger with a hammer. You're going to be very, very absorbed in awareness of that particular thing that is in pain. Pain is good at getting our attention. Joy and pleasure, they're wonderful, but we don't respect them and take them that seriously. But pain we do. And it was Blaise Pascal who said, of course I have to paraphrase, all of man's problems stem from his inability to sit alone in a room with his pain. I'm paraphrasing, but it's close to that. And it reminds me of the episode I did with my longtime friend Glenn Rotman, the well-known hypnotherapist, who said that he noticed a commonality in all of the people who he was counseling and doing therapy for, and that commonality was their consistent inability to sit alone with their pain. He's virtually quoting Blaise Pascal in his own real-world observation. And so pain, whether you like it or not, is a great teacher. The question is, are we a great student of its teachings? If we can sit alone in a room with our pain, literally or metaphorically, in other words, if we can stop, take a deep breath, turn, face our pain, our suffering, and be with it, and come to know it, come to identify it, come to understand it, we soon are likely to realize that it contains for us a message, a lesson, a gem of wisdom. Some people have the belief that these things are sent to us for that purpose. Your pain is a messenger, and it was sent by your fate and your destiny to teach you this thing. Well, maybe, maybe not. You can choose to believe that background or not believe that background. But what remains true in almost all of the cases, nonetheless, is that there is a message in there for you. Remember, send the question. What is the message? What is the lesson? What am I learning? What is the lesson? What am I learning? You're not intellectualizing that up here. You are sending it out like a message in a bottle out into the universe for higher self, spirit, soul family to answer. Perhaps even divinity itself. You are sending out the question in anticipation and clear, resolute expectation of an answer which will come when you are ready to receive it and it is the right time. That could be instantaneously, that could be 3 years. Whatever it is, that's what it is. But send the question. And sometimes if we're able to sit with our pain, come to know it, learn its name, learn its roots, its causes, the dimensions in which it appears in our lives, then maybe we might come to recognize a message that is reflecting back to us. The message is the lesson, the message is most likely reflecting something back to you that you need to see, you need to come to clarity with. And then once you reach that, there is the stage of receiving and accepting and integrating that lesson, that reflected message back into us. And most of the time, it's going to be generally about something within you that needs untangling, understanding, forgiveness, and release. Almost surely it is that. And that might be hard, and that might be ugly. But don't judge it. Don't hate it. Don't condemn it. Don't push it away. Don't resist it. Don't deny it. Just sit with it and let it show you. Let it stand up and tell you its name and introduce itself to you. And when you come to that level of understanding and seeing clearly about it, then you might just reach the point of healing, which is the fruit of all that sitting with and abiding with and accepting and receiving and releasing. The fruit of that is healing. You might even, in some ideal cases, reach a point of thankfulness for it. How many times have I quoted Mary Oliver, Box of Darkness? Someone I loved very deeply once gave me a box of darkness. It took me many years to realize that this too was a gift. Okay, she came full circle into thankfulness, appreciation, and gratitude for what was presented to her as darkness. Okay? I think Casper agrees with that point. So it reminds me of a quote by Khalil Gibran. He said, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars." What is he saying? Life beats us up, but we come out of it wounded and scarred, but healed. And that is beautiful, and that is powerful. And that is why the most, let's say, evolved souls have gone through hell. They've gone through their own hell, maybe their own self-created hell, but they've gone through it and they've come out of it. And even though it might have taken them and thrown them around and beat them up, you know, when they come out of it, when we come out of it, we are scarred, but our scars are not ugliness. Our scars are proof of our transcendence, our victory, and our healing, having experienced and gone through those things. Another quote that I have to include by Rumi. He says, he's talking with the beloved, with God, and he says, I said, what about my eyes? He said, keep them on the road. I said, what about my passion? He said, keep it burning. I said, what about my heart? He said, tell me what you hold inside it. I said, pain and sorrow. He said, stay with it. The wound is the place where the light enters you. And that's Rumi. Of course it's Rumi. Full credit to Shams. I always give full credit to Shams for everything beautiful about Rumi, because Shams was his igniter. There's no Rumi without Shams, Rumi's son. But the main point of that quote is, the wound is where the light enters you. In other words, it is within our brokenness that we are made whole. Isn't that ironic? Isn't so much of the spirit realm and spirituality in general things of the soul, matters of the soul? Aren't they, on the surface at least, ironic or paradoxical even? You know, in the Japanese tradition, they have a word called, they have a practice, an art, which is called kintsugi. Kintsugi, here it is. Kintsugi is the careful art, the sensitive art of repairing broken pottery, pottery which has fallen and broken, shattered, fragmented, repairing it with pure gold. And funny, but the pottery starts out beautiful, but it ends up more beautiful for having been broken, for having healed beyond and through its brokenness, for having been broken and transcended that brokenness. It is more beautiful and more powerful than it was in the beginning. Look at this plate. You could say that this plate is flawless. It is perfectly round. It is perfectly smooth. It is perfectly clean and white and gleaming. It is flawless. It isn't broken in any way. Yawn. It also has no character. It's rather sterile. And now, in contrast, look at this plate. It almost looks like the bottom of a tortilla. This plate, handmade, baked in a kiln, made of clay, made imperfectly, fraught with flaws, giant crack right down through the core, smattering of colors, etc., etc., etc. You can see it. This plate is cool. This plate is beautiful. This plate captivates your heart as compared to the flawless one. Now, the only point I'm trying to make is that there is beauty and character in our brokenness if we are processing through it in a wise and enlightened way. If we are moving through it in a state of accepting and seeing and asking and understanding and receiving and releasing and transcending and healing, then it is beautiful. And that's why the Japanese art of kintsugi is so metaphorically beautiful as well as literally beautiful. Now, it doesn't mean to wallow in our brokenness and drown ourselves in self-pity and to perpetuate our wounds and injuries of life. It doesn't mean that. I'm talking about, in the face of them, accepting, making peace with, transcending, and being transfigured by them. That is beautiful. And that is what gives us character. And that is what makes people easier to love.